And we're talking to the Foreign Resort this evening. How are you?
Hey, Adam. We're fine. Doing hot here in Copenhagen. Not as hot as you, but still pretty warm.
Yeah, it's been a crazy festival, a crazy season without festivals this year, and Infest last year was like this. It was like normally it's okay and not too hot, but last year was the craziest, hottest festival, and we were watching Nitzareb on a Sunday night, just all of us, just like absolutely dripping with sweat by the end of it. It's a festival experience, but not something I want to repeat. How are your shows normally? Do you like it to be like a really hot and sweaty thing to do?
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I guess I kind of do. It seems when the show's actually over, you feel like you really done something. You're sweating and tired, so it's kind of pleasing, at least I think, and it's you kind of like seems like you really put some effort into it. So
like a gym session, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like a fitness session, sure. So yeah, kind of like it.
Yeah, we had actually we played Wave Gothic Treffen in Germany last year,
mm-hmm.
and there was a heat wave happening like throughout that weekend. It was so warm, and we played Monday, and I don't know. I was drenched in sweat even before going on stage. I was like, what? Like, this is it. When clothes are just hanging because you're. I don't know, but it was. I don't know. You just drink enough water and beer and whatever. You just take everything, drink as much as you can between songs, and then just.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, I remember going to see Stabbing Westward in Chicago in 2016 at Cold Waves, and they were playing in a tiny venue called the Double Door, and it was this really humid night, and we came out and we were literally wringing our shirts out afterwards because the ceiling was just dripping from before they even came on stage. But that's the thing about summer festivals, isn't it? It's like it's you've got to prepare, and people come out dressed to the nines still, like the goths are wearing their leather and PVC. I don't know how they do that.
I have to confess, as before the days before we played at Wave Gothic Treffen, I was wearing shorts. They were black. But then going on stage, it was like long black tight jeans. I was like, oh god.
Next time, think again. So what was
with suits and tie and then shorts underneath? So we can't really see.
Yeah, exactly. We're wearing shorts now.
Hey, it's summer. You're allowed. So tell me about your band, because I only really know what you've done since you joined Artifact. You weren't a band that were familiar to me before that. And I was really fascinated by a description that you have on your bio that suggests that you take like pornography era Cure with LCD sound system like beats. And I was like, actually I can see that. But where did that come from?
It's a description by Andre Oben, an electronic artist from Boston. He wrote that as a presentation for a show that we played in Boston some years ago. And I was like, can I copy that? I think that's pretty cool, actually, because I never thought of that.
Well, I certainly heard The Cure, and I could see that, and then, but I'd never even thought of LCD as an influence because, they're a cool indie band, but their influence probably does stretch a bit to what we do, right?
Maybe it's Morten, our drummer, who's not here tonight,
mm-hmm.
but he's like, the 16th notes just tick it.
So The Cure are clearly one of your things then.
Yeah, well, I'm to be honest, I'm slowly getting sick of hearing the Cure reference, but I can't deny it. I've listened a lot to the Cure. We're actually listening more to without offending anyone, contemporary music, like emerging artists, like these days, and trying to draw from those people, those bands. So that's more what we try to do. Like a big influence on our guitar sound for a while was A Place to Bury Strangers. That's definitely Henrik over there. Like if you see him play, there's like he looks very cool, but it's like the sound that comes out is just standing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely very much inspired from Ollie from A Place to Bury Strangers, and we played a few shows with them actually too. And I think we got inspired that way and used some of his and some of their pedals from Death by Audio.
The Fuzz War
pedal. So like to disguise ourselves behind a lot of noise.
Mm-hmm. A lot of shoegaze is a major influence when you talk guitars. That's a major influence with the reverb, double reverb, and double delay, and reverb, and just everything on, and just a friend of mine said, well, basically your guitar sounds like a keyboard, and I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, fair.
I'm okay.
Have you seen My Bloody Valentine live?
Yes.
A
couple of times, yeah.
You came out okay afterwards, right?
Very, very loud.
Yeah, with earplugs, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen. They're one of probably 3 or 4 bands that I've seen and probably will never hear louder. I mean, they're a physical experience, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, because even I was wearing earplugs, but you kind of, your body just it gets like punched from the loudness of the sound. It's great. Like, I love it.
Yeah, it's kind of, there are like bands that make that kind of physical force. There's something, my wife kind of goes, nah, that's not happening. I'm not coming along to that. but there's something like really exhilarating about it. You're like, I've seen Sun, the Doom band. I've seen them. I've been right down the front, right in front of the vocalist before seeing them in a big venue with like 27 cabinets behind them. And it's just like this terrifying hum coming from all the cabinets before they start, and you're like, okay,
prepare.
Yeah, and 90 minutes later you come out and you're like, well, that was like being boxed in the head, because you could feel it in your gut,
They played at a local venue in Copenhagen some years ago. Loppen. Did you see that? I think I was there.
Unfortunately not. Okay. But yeah, I would have liked to.
It was loud as hell.
Yeah. It does something to
your, it really
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you get
that's
shook. Yeah, your bowels go like.
So where have you played? You've made quite a name for yourselves then, but because you've played a lot in North America as well as Europe now. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, basically, long story short, back in 2008, I met a friend from Modesto, California, and we ended up playing a show with him and with his band. And I realized, I was like, oh, so you basically just hook up with a band in a certain city, and then you can actually just, if you do that times whatever many cities you want to play in, you can do a tour. So we started doing that back in 2009. Yeah, 2009, 10-ish, and we played a lot of shit shows, for bars, for
diners,
2 people maybe. We played one show in Los Angeles. Remember that? We played
hall?
the bowling alley. We played for the band that we played with, and the only reason they stayed was because we borrowed their backline. And it sucked. But so we've been building an audience like all the way from the bottom. So it's taken some time.
And how's more locally to you? How's because in London, at least before all this happened, post-punk bands were the thing, the visiting post-punk bands. There's one whose name I can't remember from Russia, and another from Belarus that have been coming over here that have been making quite a noise. And then the American bands as well as the European bands. And everyone wants to go and see these bands because they're kind of the cool live bands to see right now. And it seems to be kind of a never-ending stream of them. Is it the same in Copenhagen, or is the style different there now?
Well, it's like post-punk as a genre has been dead for some years. And I was complaining for many years. I was like saying, well, I want to go to Germany. I want to go. Actually, the reason why we toured the States was because Denmark sucked. But over the past 2-3 years, the scene has changed, mainly because some bookers got their eyes up and were able to promote well, get some good shows, get some good bands, and then promote them well. And so people started coming out. So there's actually a pretty good scene. Like when we left for Corona and all that shit in March, the things were actually going pretty well here in Copenhagen. It's a good stop for Swedish bands traveling down to Germany, or it's a good stop here in Copenhagen. So I would say that the whole dark scene is actually thriving in Copenhagen right now.
Do you think because we were worried in recent years, or at least maybe over the last decade, that maybe the scene was starting to die out. There weren't the young people coming through that we were seeing. And there seems, the last 5 years or so, that seems to have reversed. And we've suddenly started seeing a kind of the scene being revitalized again. No one can quite work out why, because the internet was expecting to kill it. And not all of us go out clubbing as much as we used to, but more people go to gigs, and it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've been wondering about that as well, because but you do see like the 80s and maybe 90s influence this genre as well. And maybe, you know, this is, you know, branching out a little bit to maybe to kids who would not be like exposed to punk in the first place. So, but you know, maybe they, you know, become interested in post-punk that way. I don't know, but you know, it's
maybe they're the children of the maybe they're the children of the people that were going to post-punk shows in the first place now.
But I've been really pleased by seeing, like, you know, you have the aging crowd, which is us too, like you can tell, but there's also these young people, and I can only, like, I think Henrik's explanation here is actually a good guess. I don't know, maybe people have started experimenting, what do you call it, making more experiments with the genre, and that's kind of appeals to the younger generation, or to more people, or whatever. Maybe post-punk has gotten a little more pop. I don't know.
I think you may be right. I think we're in a time where people are more willing to experiment and more willing to kind of open their minds a little bit, because we did go through a period where it was just like, oh God, not this band that sound like that again, or not this. And it wasn't just in the kind of post-punk sphere. I mean, the industrial was in a terrible place from say 2002 to about 2012. And, you know, it was, oh man, it was just the same kind of thing, you know, like kind of bands with goblin vocals and lots of harsh beats and lots of terrible samples. And it just was.
You have to explain to me, what is a goblin vocal?
Goblin vocals are like kind of really harsh vocals where they're like hissing into the microphone. Yeah. You know exactly the kind of thing I mean, right? And that was all there was in the clubs for years. And it was just like, and I think a number of us were just like, really? Is this all it is? And, you know, sure, this last decade has been maybe a return to kind of the cold wave idea and a lot of the older stuff, but they've got fresh ideas from it, much as they have in kind of what you guys are doing, taking bits of shoegaze, taking bits of this, because there is a fresher sound to it. And it means that actually you guys can do and actually be interesting by taking a sound that maybe we already know, but doing something, you know, listening to the recent album again, just yesterday before talking to you, was just like, you know, it's a really good album, this, and there's some really interesting things going on, and there were some songs that really caught my ear again that maybe it needed a little bit of time before I went back to it to go, you know, because you listen to a lot of music, right? And sometimes you kind of listen to things, yeah, that's cool, and then you come back to it, hang on a minute, why did I not listen to this more at the first time? Because that's the way, you know, getting sent as much music as you do by writing about it means that you're always going to miss something, and it's a tough call.
Maybe our music is not like easily accessible always. I don't know.
Potentially. I mean, I think you've got some good hooks in there, and I think it is an accessible thing, and it's just trying to get your name out amidst of, you know, when there's so much music now out there. And you know, there's been an interesting debate from a couple of artists I know about the use of Spotify, for example. But I find Spotify is really important because it allows me to discover stuff that I would never have otherwise discovered. I can rely on friends to tell me stuff, but sometimes I won't catch a band until I see it on a discover list going, here, listen to this. Oh, all right then. You know, and we need to use the technology maybe to make sure that we...
I'm old school. I listen to American college radio. And I'm not using Spotify, I'm using Deezer. But I've tried to go along with the algorithms, you know, and suggestions for you and all that, and it works. Okay, but I would say my favorite radio shows, basically morning shows in the US on college radio, they provided me with more bands than any algorithm, actually.
Right, listeners, you heard it here first. Try American college radio online and you'll hear better music.
WMBR Cambridge, there's KEXP, there's a lot of them, and they're great.
Yeah. Well, on that note, hopefully we will see you at Infest in the years to come. It would be Infest is a friendly place, and everyone kind of bands that come to it always seem to come away with a smile, going, actually, this is a really cool festival. It's maybe not got all of some of the attitude that some other festivals that I've been to have. The kind of the snootiness. People going, I am goth, I am important. We like
look at us.
Quite.
I'll be wearing some makeup, but it's I'll be wearing a badge too, saying not even a real goth. So.
Right, my wife has one of those too.
But it's like that's actually coming back to the whole post-punk genre. I kind of see it as kind of if you look back to 92, 91 or something like that, the indie genre, which was like pretty confined to like certain bands in the beginning, and then by mid 90s everyone was indie. And I think right now everyone is post-punk, and it's kind of become this thing that everyone wants to be. But if you look at the positive side, it actually it made the genre more accessible and just more interesting, because you see so many different aspects of the same genre. It's just bands exploring this, bands exploring that, but their roots are like this post-punk thing, and I think that's actually pretty cool. So that's that's the way I see it. Like that's why I keep looking for the genre post-punk thing. Like, okay, I'll listen to it again, because it won't be another band sounding the same, like you explained with the industrial genre. Right now, everything is sounding a lot. There's a lot of different things.
Hey, a rare moment. See, we have positivity in this. We have positivity. We have.
Try this.
Yeah. We might listen to dark music, but hey, we're positive at heart. Well, anyway, we must wrap up at that point. But thank you guys for coming along. You've been the Foreign Resort. And tell us about what your latest release was, because I know you've just released an EP. Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, last year was Outnumbered, the full length, and we just released Down the Rabbit Hole. The Rabbit Hole EP. Yeah. I just had to. There's the title. There's the song Down the Rabbit Hole, and there's the EP, the Rabbit Hole EP. Yeah. Basically, it's like 3 cover tracks, and then 1 track that we released for a blog in Boston back some years ago. So it's all previous released, except 1 cover. Oh, this is all messy. But anyway, it's cover songs, and we remixed them, remastered them, so they sound pretty intense. And it's a 4-track EP. It wouldn't have happened without COVID-19. So we would have been on tour. We wouldn't have time for recording.
Entirely fair. Well. Thank you guys for joining me today, and go to, is it theforeignresort.bandcamp.com? Have I got that right?
That's the one, yes.
That's the one.
You can go to theforeignresort.com and find everything there.
There you are. There's a little bit of advertising before we go. Well, thank you very much, guys, and we'll hope to see you at Infest in future years. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll be there. Thank you.